What's good? What's poppin'? It's your girl. Not too happy. I shattered my screen. I'm so hurt. I've dropped my phone a lot of times, but then this time, yo, that's who serious? I shattered it. Oh, y'all saw my TV and stuff. I'm so sorry. Don't dox the girl. But today I am supposed to be doing Left Behind for y'all. I'm pretty sure we is on chapter 3. It's your girl Tweet Jones, aka Queen T, aka Blackout T. I am sad.
Oh, can I be
You being cameraman?
cameraman?
Don't mess with my camera.
I'll be a cameraman.
No, put it down, put it down, put it down.
They need to see you a bit. I can hold like this.
No cameraman. You messing me up, cameraman.
Cameraman. I like your cat.
Okay, I'm ready, y'all. We on chapter 5. Okay. Kiss his cheek. Okay, bye. Buck Williams ducked into a stall in the Pan Con Club man's room to double check his inventory. Tucked in a special pouch inside his jeans, he carried thousands of dollars worth of traveler's checks, redeemable in dollars, euros, or yen. His other leather bag contained 2 changes of clothes, his laptop, cell phone, digital recorder, accessories, toiletries, and some serious insulated winter gear. He had packed for a 10-day trip to Britain when he left New York 3 days before the apocalypse disappearances. His practice overseas was to do his own laundry in the sink and let it dry a whole day while wearing one outfit and having one more in reserve. That way he was never burdened with lots of luggage. Buck had gone out of his way to stop in Chicago first to mend fistings with the Global Weekly's bureau chief there, a 50-ish black woman named Lucinda Washington. He had gotten crossways with her. What else was new? When he scoops her staff on, of all things, a sports story that was right under their noses, an aging Bears legend had finally found enough partners to help him buy a professional football team. And Buck had somehow sniffed it out, tracked him down, got in the story, and run with it. I admire you, Carmen, Lucinda Washington had said, carelessly refusing to use his nickname. I always have. As irritating as you can be, but the very least you should have done was let me know. And unless you're saying someone who should have been on top of this anyway, sports isn't even your gig, Carmen. After doing the Newsmaker of the Year and covering the default of Russia by Israel, or should I say by God himself, how can you even get interested in penny ink and stuff like this? You Ivy Leaves types aren't supposed to like anything but lingerie and rugby, are you? This was bigger than a sports story, Lucky. And hey, sorry, Lucinda. And wasn't that just a bit of the stereotyping? Lacrosse and rugby? They had shared a laugh. I'm not saying you should have told me you were in town, she said to him. All I'm saying is, at least let me know before the piece runs in a weekly. My people and I were embarrassed enough to get beat like that. Especially by the legendary Carmen Williams. Boy, for it to be, well, that's why you squealed on me. Lucinda had laughed again. That's why I told Plank it would take a face-to-face to get back in my good graces. And what would make you think I care about that? Because you love me, she had said. You can't help yourself. Buck had smiled. You can't help yourself. Buck had smiled. But Carmen, if I catch you in my town again on my beat without my knowledge, I'm gonna whip your tail. Well, I'll tell you what, Lucinda. Let me give you a lead I don't have time to follow up on. I happen to know the NFL franchise purchase is not going to go through after all. The money was shaky, and the league's going to reject the offer. Your local legend is going to be embarrassed. Lucinda had been scribbling fiercely. You're not serious, she had said, reaching for her phone. No, I'm not. But it was fun. It was sure fun to see you swing into action. You creep, she had said. Anyone else, I'll be throwing out of here on his can. But you love me. You can't help yourself. That wasn't even Christian, she had said. Don't start with that again. Come on, Carmen. You know you got your mind right when you saw what God did for Israel. Granted, but don't start calling me a Christian. Desist as much as I cope to. Stay in town long enough to come to my church and God'll get you. He already got me, Lucinda. But Jesus is another thing. The Israelites hate Jesus, but look what God did for him. The Lord works in mysterious ways. Yeah, I know. Anyway, I'm going to London Monday. Working on a hot tip from a friend there. Yeah, what? Not on your life. We don't know each other that well yet. She had laughed, and they had parted with a friendly embrace. That had been 3 days ago. Yeah, let's act like the world didn't just end. Let's get this little geeky. The world didn't just end, you know? Shit just ain't out here being hacked. You know, it's a regular smuggler day. Buck had boarded the ill-fated flight to London preparing for anything. He was following a tip from a former Princeton classmate, a Welshman who had been working in the London financial district since graduate school. Dick Barton had been a reliable source in the past, tipping off Buck with a secret high-level meeting among international financiers. For years, Buck had been slightly amused at Dirk's tendency to buy into conspiracy theories. Well, I do too. Shit. Let me get this straight, Buck had asked him once. You think these guys are the real world leaders, right? I wouldn't go that far, Cam, Dirk had said. All I know is they're big. They're private, and after they meet, major things happen. So you think they got world leaders elected, hand-picked dictators, that kind of thing. I don't belong to the conspiracy book club, if that's what you mean. Then where do you get your stuff, Dirk? Come on, you're a relatively sophisticated guy. Power brokers behind the scene, movers and shakers who control the money. All I know is the London Exchange, the Tokyo Exchange, the New York Exchange. We're all basically drifting until these guys meet. Then things happen. You mean like when the New York Stock Exchange has a blip because of some presidential decision or some vote of Congress? It's really because of your secret group? No, but that's a perfect example. If there's a blip in your market because of the president's health, imagine what it does to world markets when the real money people get together. But how does the market know they're meeting? I thought you were the only one who knew. Cam, be serious. Okay, not a lot of people agree with me. But then I don't say this to just anyone. One of my musky mucks is part of this group. When they have a meeting, no, nothing happens right after. But a few days later, a week, changes occur. Like what? You gonna call me crazy. But a friend of mine was related to a girl who works for a secretary of the guy in this group. And, whoa, hold it. What's the trail here? Okay, maybe the connection is a little more remote. But you know that old guy secretary is not going to say anything. Anyway, the scuttlebutt is that this guy is real hot on getting the whole world onto one currency. You know, half our time is spent on exchange rates and all that. Takes computers forever to constantly readjust every day based on the whims of the market. Boy was not convinced. One glove of currency never happened, he had said. How can you flatly say that? Too bizarre. Too impractical. Look what happened in the States when they tried to bring in a metric system. Should have happened. You Yanks are such rubes. Metrics were only necessary for international trade, not for how far it is to be outfield wall at Yankee Stadium, or how many kilometers it is from Indianapolis to Atlanta. I know, Cam. Your people thought you'd be paving the way for the communists to take over if you made maps and distant markers easy for them to read. And where are your commies now? Buck had passed off most of Dirk Burton's ideas until a few years later when Dirk had called him in the middle of the night. Carmen, he had said, unaware of the nickname bestowed by his friends' colleagues. I can't talk long. You can pursue this or you can just watch it happen and wish it had been your story. But you remember that stuff I was saying about the one-word currency? Yes, I'm still dubious. Fine, I'm telling you the word here is that our guy pushed an idea at the last meeting of these secret finances and something's brewing. What's brewing? Well, there's going to be a major United Nations monetary conference, and the topic is going to be a streamlining currency. Big deal. It is a big deal, Carmen. Our guy got shot down. He, of course, was pushing for world currency to become pound sterling. Was surprised that they won't happen. Look at your economy. But listen, the big news, if you believe any leak out of the secret meeting, is that they have it down to 3 currencies for the entire world, hoping to go to just 1 inside a decade. No way, won't happen. Carmen, if my information is correct, the initial stage is a done deal. The UN conference is just window dressing, and the decision has already been made by your secret puppeteers. That's right. This motherfucker's loud. Okay, he was super loud, y'all. I apologize. That's right. I don't know, Dirk. You're a buddy, but I think you would rather be doing what I'm doing. Who won it? Well, that's true. I sure wouldn't want to be doing what you're doing. But I'm not wrong, Carmen. Test my information. How? I predict what's going to come out of the UN within 2 weeks. And if I'm right, you start treating me with a little deference, a little respect. Buck realized that he and Dirk had been sparring the way everyone at Princeton had doing weekend pizza and beer bashes in the dorms. Dirk, listen. That sounds interesting, and I'm listening. But you do know, don't you, all kidding aside, that I wouldn't think any less of you, even if you were off base here. Well, thanks, Cam. Really. That means a lot to me. And for that little tidbit, I'm going to give you a bonus. I'm not only going to tell you that the UN resolution is going to be for dollars, euros, and yen within 5 years, but I'm also going to tell you that the real power behind the power is an American. What do you mean, the real power behind the power? The mightiest of the secret group of international money men. This guy who runs this group, in other words. He's the one who shot down sterling at one of the currencies and has dollars in mind for the one world commodity in the end. I'm listening. Jonathan Stonegale. Buck had hoped Dirk would name someone luscious so he could burst into laughter. But he had to admit, if honest to himself, that there was something, if there was anything to this, Stonegale would be a logical choice. One of the richest men in the world, and long known as an American power broker, Stonegale would have to be involved if serious global finances were being discussed. Though he was already in his 80s and appeared infirm in new photos, he not only owned the world's biggest banks and financial institutions in the United States, but he also owned or had a huge interest in the same throughout the world. Though Dirk was a friend, Buck had felt the need to play him along a bit, to keep him eager to provide information. Dirk, I'm going back to bed. I appreciate all this and find it very interesting. I'm going to see what comes out of this UN deal. And I'm also going to see if I can trace the movements of Jonathan Stonegale. If it happens the way you think, you'll be my best informant. Meanwhile, see if you can find out for me how many are in this secret group and what they mean. That's easy, Dirk has said. There are at least 10, though more than that sometimes come to the meeting, including some heads of the states. U.S. presidents? Occasionally, believe it or not. Then that's sort of one of my popular conspiracy theories here, Dirk. That doesn't mean it ain't true. And they usually meet in France. I don't know why. Some kind of private charlotte or something there gives them some sense of security. But nothing escapes your friend, of a relative, of a submersive, of a secretary, or whatever. Laugh all you want, Kim. Our guy is in a group. Joshua Todd Cothran may just not be quite as buttoned down as the rest. Todd Cothran? Doesn't he run the London Exchange? That's the guy. Not buttoned down? How could he have that position and not be? Plus, who ever heard of a brick who is not buttoned down? It happens. Good night, Dirk. Of course, it all had proven correct. The UN made a resolution. Buck discovered that Jordan and Stonegale had lived in the Plaza Hotel in New York during the 10 days of the confab. Mr. Todd Cothran of London had been one of the most elegant speakers, expressing such eagerness to see matter through that he volunteered to carry the torch back to the Prime Minister regarding Great Britain moving to the mark from the pound. Many third world countries fought the change, but within a few years, the 3 countries had swept the globe. Buck had told only Steve Plank of his trip on the UN meetings, but he didn't say where he gathered the information. And neither he nor Plank felt it worth the speculative article. Too risky, Skeeter said. Soon they both wished they had run with it in advance. You had become even more of a legend, Buck. Dirk and Buck had become closer than ever. And it wasn't unusual for Buck to visit London on short notice. If Dirk had a serious lead, Buck packed and went. His trips had often turned into excursions into countries and climax that surprised him. Thus he had packed the emergency gear. Now it appeared it was superfluous. He was stuck in Chicago after the most electrifying phenomenon in world history, trying to get to New York. Despite the incredible capabilities of his laptop, there was still no substance for the pocket notebook. Buck scribbled on a list of things to do before setting off again. Call Ken Ritz, charter pilot. Call Dad and Jeff. Call Haiti Durham with news on family. Call Lucinda Washington about local hotel. Call Dirk Barton. The phone awakened Rayford Stilley.
You ate it?
Okay. The phone awakened Rayford Stilley. He had not moved for hours. It was early evening and beginning to get dark. Hello? He said, unable to mask the sleepy huskiness in his voice. Captain Stilley. Captain Stilley! It was a frantic voice of Haiti Durham. Yes, Haiti. Are you all right? I've been trying to reach you for hours. My phone was dead for the longest time. Then everything was busy. I thought I was getting a ring on your phone. But then you never answered. I don't know anything about my mother or my sisters. What about you? Rayford sat up dizzy and disoriented. I got a message from Chloe, he said. I knew that, she said. You told me at O'Hara. Are your wife and son all right? No. No? Rayford was silent. What else was there to say? Do you know anything for sure? He asked. I'm afraid I do, he said. Their bed closed. I hear. Oh, no. Rayford, I'm sorry. Is there anything I could do? No, thanks. Do you want some company? No, thanks. I'm scared. So am I, Haiti. What are you going to do? Keep trying to get Chloe. Hope she can come home or I can get to her. Where is she, Stanford? Palo Ata? My people are in California too, Haiti said. They have got all kinds of trouble out there, even worse than here. I imagine it's because of the time difference, Rayford said. More people on the roads, that sort of thing. I'm scared to death of what's become of my family. Let me know what you find out, Haiti, okay? I will. But you were supposed to call me. Of course, my phone was dead, and then I couldn't get through to you. I wish I could say I tried to call you, Haiti, but I didn't. This is hard for me. Let me know if you need me, Rayford. You know, just someone to talk or be with. I will. And you let me know what you find out about your family. He almost wished he hadn't added that. Losing his wife and child made him realize what a vapid relationship he had been pursuing with a 27-year-old woman. He hardly knew her, and he certainly didn't much care about what happened to her family any more than he cared when he heard about remote tragedy on the news. He knew Haiti was not a bad person. In fact, she was nice and friendly. But that was not why he had been interested in her. It had merely been a physical attraction. Something he had been smart enough or lucky enough or naive enough not to have acted upon. He felt guilty for having considered it. And now his own grief would obliterate all but the most common courtesy of simply caring for a coworker. There's my call waiting, she said. Can you hold? No. Just go ahead and take it. I'll call you later. I'll call you back, Rayford. Well, okay. I don't know why he just didn't tell him. I mean, I guess the word ended. You gotta be nice. Buck Williams followed an excited crowd to an old payphone that was miraculously working. He wanted to see how many personal calls he could make. He reached Ken Rick's voicemail first. This is Rick's charter service. Here's the deal in light of a crisis. I got little jets at both Pewaukee and Waukegan, but I've lost my other flyer. I can get to either airport, but right now, they're not letting anyone into any of the major strips. Can I get into Milwaukee, O'Hara, Kennedy, London, National, Dulles, Dallas, Atlanta? I could get into some of the smaller, outlying airports, but it's a seller's market. Sorry to be an optimistic, but I'm asking $20 a mile, cash up front. Damn, $20 a mile? Yeah, if the world was ending, we'd be stuck here, right? If the world was ending, we'd be stuck here, right? And we wouldn't even have a chance to even say goodbye. Because if the world was ending, we'd be stuck here, right? Okay, Twist, read the story. If I can find someone who wants to come back from where you're going, I might be able to give you a little discount. I'm checking messages tonight, and we'll take off first thing in the morning. Longest trip with guaranteed cash gets me. If your stop is on the way, I'll try to squeeze you in. Leave your message, and I'll get back to you. That was a laugh. How could Ken Ritz get hold of Buck? With his cell phone unreliable, the only thing he could think of was to leave his New York voicemail number. Mr. Ritz, my name is Buck Williams, and I need to get as close to New York City as you can get me. I'll pay the full fare of your asking in traveler's checks, redeemable in whatever currency you want. Sometimes that was attractive to prime contractors because they kept up with the difference in currency and could make a little margin on the exchange. I'm at O'Hara and will try to find a place to stay in the suburbs. Just to save you time, let me just pick somewhere between here and Milwaukee. If you get a new number in the meantime, I'll call it. Meanwhile, you may leave a message for me at the following New York number. Buck was still unable to get through to his office directly, but his voicemail number worked. He retrieved his new messages, mostly from coworkers checking on him and laminating the loss of mutual friends. Then there was a welcome message from Marge Potter, who was genius to think of leaving it there for him. Buck, if you get this call your father and 2 cents. He and your brother are together, and I hate to tell you here, but they're having trouble reaching Just's wife and the kids. They should have news by the time you call. Your father was most grateful to hear that you were all right. Buck's voicemail also noted that he still had a saved message. That was the one from Dirk Burton that had spurred his trip in the first place. He had needed to learn to listen to it again when he had time. Meanwhile, he left a message for Marge that if she had time and on open line, she needs to let Dirk know Bert's flight never made it to Heathrow. Of course, Dirk would know that by now, but he needed to know Buck wasn't among the missing and that he would get there in due time. Buck hung up and dialed his father. The line was busy, but it was not the same kind of tone that tells you the lines are down or that the whole system is a kaput. Neither was it that irritating recording he'd grown so used to. He knew it would only be a matter of time before he could get through. Just must be beside himself not knowing about his wife Sharon and the kids. They had their differences and even had been separated before the children came along. But for several years, the marriage had been better. Just's wife had proven forgiving and conciliatory. Jeff himself admitted he was puzzled that she could take him back. Called me undeserving, but grateful, he once told Buck. The son and daughter, who both looked like Jeff, were precious. They're all in heaven with God. Buck pulled the number of the beautiful blonde flight attendant that had given him and justified himself for not trying again to reach her earlier. It took a while for her to answer. Haiti Durham, this is Buck Williams. Who? Carmen Williams from the Global. Oh, yes, any news? Yes, ma'am, good news. Oh, thank God, tell me. Someone from my office tells me they reached your mother and that she and your sister are fine. Oh, thank you. I wonder why they haven't called here. Maybe they're tired. My phone has been haywire. There are other problems in California, ma'am. Lines down, that kind of thing. It may be a while before you can talk to them. I know. I've heard. Well, I sure appreciate this. How about you? Have you been able to reach your family? I got word that my dad and brother are okay. We still don't know about my sister-in-law and the kids. Oh, how old are the kids? Can't remember. Both under 10, but I don't know exactly. Oh, Haiti sounded sad, guarded. Why? Why? Buck asked. Oh, nothing. It's just that, what? You can't go by what I say. Tell me, Miss Dorn. Well, you remember what I told you on the plane? And on the news, it looks like the children are gone. Even unborn ones. Yeah. I'm not saying that means your brother's children are. I know. I'm sorry I brought it up. No, it's okay. This is too strange, isn't it? Yeah, I just got off the phone with the captain who piloted the flight you were on. He lost his wife and son, but his daughter is okay. She's in California, too. How old is she? About 20, I guess. She's at Stanford. Oh. Mr. Williams, what did you call yourself? Buck. It's a nickname. Well, Buck, I know better than to say what I said about your niece and nephew. I hope there are explanations, and yours are okay. She begins to cry. Miss Durham, it's okay. You have to admit, no one is thinking straight right now. You can call me Haiti. That struck him as humorous under the circumstances. She had been apologizing for being inappropriate, yet she didn't want to be too formal. If he was Buck, she was Haiti. I suppose I shouldn't tie up this line, he said. I just wanted to get the news to you. I thought maybe by now you already knew. No, and thanks again. Would you mind calling me again sometime? If you think of it. You seem like a nice person, and I appreciate what you did for me. It would be nice to hear from you again. This is kind of a scary, lonely time. True. He couldn't argue with that understatement. Funny, her request had sounded like anything but a come on. She seemed wholly sincere, and he was sure she was. A nice, scared, lonely woman whose world had been skewed, just like his and everyone he knew. When Buck got off the phone, he saw the young woman at the counter flagging him down. Listen, she whispered. They don't want me making an announcement that will start a stampede, but we just heard something interesting. The livery companies have gotten together and moved their communication center out to the Madden Strip near the Manhattan Road interchange. What's that? Just outside the airport. There's no traffic coming into the terminals anyway. Total gridlock. But if you go walk as far as that international change, supposedly you find all those guys with walkie-talkies trying to get limos in and out of there. I can imagine the prices. No, you probably can't. I can imagine the wait. Like standing in line for a rental car in Orlando, she said. Buck had never done that, but he could imagine that too. And she was right. After he had hiked with a crowd to the Manhattan interchange, he found a mob surrounding the dispatchers. In-a-minute announcements got everyone's attention. We're filling every car $100 ahead to any suburb. Cash only. Nothing's going to Chicago. No cards! Someone shouted. I'll say it again, the dispatcher said. Cash only. If you know you got cash or a checkbook at home, you can plead with the driver to trust you till you get there. He called out listing of which companies were heading which directions. Passengers ran to fill the cars as they lined up on the shoulder of the expressway. I mean, $100. But what if you find out that's not bad, but if you close, that's bad. Buck handed $100 traveler check to the dispatcher for the northern suburbs. An hour and a half later, he joined several others in a limo. After checking his cell phone again to no avail, he offered the driver $50 to use his phone. No guarantees, the driver said. Sometimes I get through, sometimes I don't. Buck checked the phone log in his laptop for Lucinda Washington's home number and dialed. A teenage boy answered. Washington's Carmen Williams of Global Weekly, calling for Lucinda. My mom's not here, the young man said. Is she still at the office? I need a recommendation where to stay near Waukegan. She's nowhere, the boy said. I'm the only one left. Mom, Mama, Daddy, everyone else is gone. Disappeared. Are you sure? The clothes are still here, right where they were sitting. My daddy's contact lens are still on top of his bathrobe. Oh man, I'm sorry, son. That's all right. I know where they are, and I can't even say I'm surprised. You know where they are? If you know my mama, you know where she is too. She in heaven. Yeah, well, are you all right? Is there someone to look after you? My uncle's here, and a guy from my church, probably the only one who's still around. You all right then? I'm all right. Carmen folded the phone and handed it back to the driver. Any idea where I should stay if I'm trying to fly out of Waukegan in the morning? The chain hotels are probably full, but there's a couple of feedbags on Washington you might sneak into. You'll be close enough to the airport. You'll be my last drop-off. Fair enough. They got phones in those dives. More likely a phone and a TV than running water. Damn. All right, y'all. And we finna get up out of here. Remember, leave a this, leave a that, or leave a comment. Do something for the algorithm. Or you could just watch this video for me. All right, and we out.
You can join.
Join what?